One of the most frequent questions related to relationship is about the spouse description. And here we have two contexts of this question. The first is just out of curiosity. So we have the open book and we just want to know what will happen, what will be the future spouse. But in the second context, very often we have someone in our mind and we are going to astrologer just to confirm if that person will be the one. What the astrologer is doing is assigning the description and is trying to see what is happening in the chart, and then based on that we can confirm or deny. So we will take 4 charts with the same very extreme profile, and then we will notice which rule is giving us the proper indication, and that we will be using for the future predictions. Just like when you have a crime scene and you are collecting fingerprints, would you collect them at the entrance to the city or to the house, or maybe the best would be an entrance to the room? So in this video we'll be comparing different rules and we will see which one will return us the best outcome. So let's roll the intro and start with the first one. So when you know something about astrology, you know it's about the Venus and the 7th house. So I think you have an experience when you try to see your future relationship or your current relationship and you have seen the 7th house, but it doesn't make sense. Then you went to the Venus. Venus also doesn't help. It is even worse indicator for this purpose. So let's see what alternatives we have. The first chart is of Paola Ruffo di Calabria. She is the spouse of the Albert II of Belgium, educated in Rome. They married on 2nd July 59. And the Prince Albert II of Belgium was the king between the 93 and 2013. They met in Rome in the reception in 1958. She has 3 children and became the Queen of Belgium in 93 when Albert II acceded as a king. And she was there until the abdication in 2013. They were very much into the education of the youth together, were very much involved. So let's try the first rule. If you take the 7th Lord Mercury, it is exalted, so it will give high status. We can even say that exaltation is like sun, so it can bring that royal thing, right? But it is high status in that mercurial type of description, right? It will be someone who is like a physician, or maybe someone who is like a merchant or a salesman, or maybe someone into the communication like a TV radio or an author, things like that. There is sun in the Shubha Yoga and the 12th, so you could say, yes, this is influencing, but is it the support or is it the changing the outcome, the description, right? It's more as a support. So still we have that Mercury. The Sun doesn't have a very strong yoga here. Maybe if that would be a Kartari, there would be other planets, then we could agree, yes, there is an influence on that planet in the middle. Now, if we take the second chart of Hope Cooke, we can see the 7th Lord Jupiter is in the 8th house with debilitated Saturn. So it's even worse. There is nowhere Sun around, and Ketu is in the 7th house. So you can see that these rules doesn't show really being married to royalty when we take the 7th house or 7th Lord. And if we take Venus, it also doesn't give us the proper answer. By the way, the Hope Cooke was the New York socialite. She was born in San Francisco and was living with the grandparents in New York. And then she was married to, I will read, the Palden Tondap Namgyal Chogyal of Sikkim, and she was the crown prince. And then after there was a big political turmoil and they divorced in 1980 after the annexation of Sikkim into the India, and the monarchy was abolished, but still he was like living in exile and was dedicated to promoting the cultural inheritance. They had 2 children. He became king in 1963, and also before that he was widowed, and in 82 he died of the illness. So let's see her chart. Now we have 2 more charts. We have Letizia, Queen of Spain. We will be doing that, but for them entering the royal sphere was in the 2nd marriage, so you have to wait for that rule. For now, let's focus on these 2 for the Paola of Belgium and this Hope Cooke. So there's a special point which is called Upapada, and it's showing how the relationship or marriage is functioning in our mind and also in the mind of others. Therefore, it's also related to the society, how it is seen by the bigger amount of people. So the common picture will be there in the head. And this is very important because if you think about the relationship or marriage, there is nothing which is physical which binds these 2 together. It is all happening in the mind. Therefore, especially for these mothers, the Arudha level is very important. And if you want to know how to calculate Arudha, we have a special video on that, so you can look for this. Here we can say that Mars and Ketu, Ketu is in the 12th, Mars in the 6th. So the 2 Upapadas are in the Leo. They are both in the same sign in the Paola's chart. And there we can find Sun at Makaraka being in the 9th house. So you can see if you compare 7th Lord, Mercury exalted in Virgo, this is not so accurate when we talk about the royal marriage, right? Being married to royalty, as Upapada is joined Sun, and not only that, at Makaraka. So among the planets, the Sun shows royalty, monarchy. It is the bones, the structure, right? Everything which is related to that Ashtadhatu, which is the structure, foundation of the body, and also in the macro scheme foundation of for the country, like building the whole administration, things like that, is the Sun. So we can see how the Upapada is giving much more reliable outcome for the description of the spouse and the whole situation. But for the Upapada, you have to know a very important trick, because without recognizing that possibility, you may be looking at the wrong place. Because if we look now at the Cooke's chart, we have Aries, right? So there is no connection to Sun. So you would say, oh, this was only anecdotal evidence. It doesn't repeat, so it's not working. But if there is a situation like when there is some affliction, like Saturn debilitated, then the Upapada, just like Aruda, may jump to 7th house from its position. And then if you look carefully, Venus, the lord of that 7 from original Upapada, is joined Sun. So we have to remember that in such situation, you cannot ignore the possibility that the Upapada, the real Upapada, may be in 7th house from its original position, especially if that house is afflicted or it's some house weaker, or if the Lord is going to the 7th house. We will have one example like that later. So the lesson from Cooke's chart is that we need to look at 7th house from Upapada. If these conditions apply, this will give us the correct result. But it's not so easy when you have more plans. What to do then? I remember recently on the Telegram groups, one person asked, okay, 3rd from Aruda is showing the demise, and 12 from Navamsa is also showing demise. What if they are giving us opposite result? That is the beauty of having many points, because then you can collect everything which is related to one point, everything related to the other point, and then you can take the common planet. That this is how the Varga charts or other points in the chart are excluding the possibilities, and this mechanism, the strategy, is enabling us to give more accurate predictions. So now we will be using another point, especially 7th in the Navamsa, and we'll compare to Upapada, and then we will find the exact planet. But before that, if you like to know your situation in a relationship, what is the timing, what was the spouse description, and how the marriage will go, then consider booking a consultation on the Zoom, 60 or 90 minutes. You can find the link in the description. So now going to the Paola, the Queen of Belgium, Navamsa. Navamsa is a special chart according to Brihat Parashara Horashastra. It is showing our Bhagya, or the fortune. It is the additional separate chart, which is based on dividing the sign into 9 equal parts for 3 degrees and 20 minutes. And Navamsa is most important. There are other charts which are also listed in our tradition. We say that Shastyamsa is very important, Jagannath is very important. You can find those shlokas in Jataka Parijata, which are mentioning that this chart, this and this, these are very important. And how, or what is the logic for the importance? The main thing is that the chart should show all areas of life. So Navamsa is also showing things like health and career life. So all ayanas, all 4 ayanas, the Dharma, Moksha, Kama, and Artha. Similarly, Shastyamsa or Jagannath are also showing all areas of life. So therefore, these charts, which are reflecting to those, will be more important than those who are only restricted to a specific, very narrow area of life, like you have, for example, D24, which is only related to your education. So we know that Navamsa can be read in 2 ways. One is the independent one. The second is when you are doing that with the rashi chart. There are many techniques for that. You can take the same planet, you can take the same sign, and you can do a lot when it comes to connecting the rashi and Navamsa. And when you connect these both, then we say that the Navamsa is reflecting all areas of life. But you can also see Navamsa independently, then it is only for the marriage. Navamsa is very important to show fortune, and what that fortune means, it also shows how far it will expand. So let's say you have a conflict. Will it expand into legal case? Will you end up in jail? Things like that. Or you have a, for example, business, which is shown in the rashi chart, or you have some type of career option. Will it end up in a big success, giving you a big money? This can only be seen in the Navamsa. There is possibility that there will be some extramarital thing. Will it expand into divorce, or will there be other partners going on? Again, you can only see that in the Navamsa. So Navamsa showing fortune means that first of all you can confirm, but also you can see how far it will expand. So if we start with the Paola, Queen of Belgium chart, we see 7th Lord, Jupiter is in 6th. Venus is in 8. Doesn't look good, right? But we have to see here that Jupiter, the 7th Lord, has yoga with the Sun. So there could be many planets in the Rashi chart, and we have confirmation. Yes, seventh lord is the sun. So then it will restrict it. And therefore, it is more easy to be sure which of the planet will be the essence. Then the other planets will be only giving some flavors. And to answering that question, why these are so badly placed, there was a big extramarital thing, right? So the relationship started in Mercury Antardasha, the child came in Venus, out of wedlock child came in Venus Antardasha. So you can see that 8 dasha was not conductive towards that marriage, because that was the time when the spouse was with someone else. So therefore we have those 7th lord in Scorpion 12, right? Spouse being in the shadow. He's not seen, he's doing something secret. You can see that if we employ additional tool, the Navamsa, especially the 7th house, this is the tool to filter out other possibilities. And this tools which are excluding the options, these are more valuable, because through various yoga formation, you will get to know that there are many, many options. So then you are applying other tools to exclude them, to restrict the possibilities what will happen. And this is exactly what the astrologer need to predict more accurate thing. Okay, but let's say you already were married once, or you had 3 serious relationships behind you. How to see now the future partners? We cannot use the 7th house in the Navamsa, because that will show the first spouse. So we will again use the royalty example here, but now we will see the person for whom the entering into royalty through marriage was the second one. So we have the Letizia, Queen of Spain. They married on 22 May of 2004. She had a degree in journalism, and she's also the TV anchor. They had 2 children, and she became the queen consort on 19 June 2014, when the Philip VI was succeeding the Juan Carlos first. She was focusing on the rare diseases and had very modern Mercury, right, will be very active everywhere. So very modern approach to how the royalty behave, all the customs and things like that. Her spouse, the Philip VI, had a big military training, and he also was studying the law. She was married in Venus Mercury. The first marriage we have seen 7th lord is Venus with Mercury, and interestingly, they also divorced in the same Venus Mercury. Why Mercury is the 8th lord. Now, how to find the next spouse? We need to see 8 from Upapada and 8 from the 7th in the Navamsa, because in the Shastra we have those shlokas, those texts, those hints that if you want to see the next partnership or marriage, you have to count 8 from the previous one. And then we also have the Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. Here also second marriage. Before that she was actress and also into some kind of blogging, so social media. We can see that Venus and Mercury is already there. But she married on 19 May 2018 to Princess Harry, so that is her second marriage. They first met in 2000, but then in 2016 she was invited by a friend to a blind date, and that is how it started. They had 2 children, and in 2020 they stepped back from the royal duties and they moved to US. She also wrote a book for children and also is having a podcast. Prince Harry is the younger child of Charles III and Princess Diana. He launched the Invictus game that was based on the US, similar project which is helping the veterans. He also had strong military training. By the way, this Duchess title is from Duke, and this is not giving, it's more like a title, honorary. It doesn't reflect on any power or land or anything like that. And it's not possible because of the other options for her to become queen. Now, rectification, the Lagnas at the border, and I've chosen Cancer for this chart. Now for the Letizia, the Queen of Spain, we have Virgo, the first Upapada. Second one would fall in Aries because it's 8 from the Virgo. And here we have no ambiguity. Sun, Rasi Drishti, Sun, join the Lord of the second Upapada. So the second will have something to do with Sun. It could be royal, it could be administration, could belong to a big company, everything which the Sun shows. If the Atmakaraka is there, it would more guide our prediction towards royalty. For the Meghan chart, we have Upapada and Leo. 8 from that would be Pisces. Now we don't have any connection on the first glance, but Jupiter is in Virgo, so it will jump to Virgo because the Lord is also going to 7 from its placement. And then through Rahu and Mercury, through the Lord of Virgo, we have connection to the Sun, and Rahu is Atmakaraka. But now let us see the Navamsa and count 8 from its position. So for the Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, we have 10th house from the 7, which shows professional first partner, Mercury, Venus, so the first spouse was into art. who's like actor or producer, can't recall now. Second lord, which is showing the second partner. That was the royalty. And we have the sun. It's Leo, is loaded by the sun. So from Upapada now, we have the sun. And second lord, also we have the sun. So it's not the first partner, it becomes royalty. It is the second one. So you can see that with these rules, we got a perfect confirmation which planet would determine the sector or the image or description of the spouse. Now, the situation is even more clear for Letizia, the Queen of Spain. The first spouse was a teacher. We have a seventh Lord Jupiter in the Navamsa. So that is showing the spouse, not 7 in the rashi. Because if you would see 7 in the rashi, we have a sun and Leo there. So the royalty would be the first spouse, which is not right. This is the, again, 1000 proof that we shouldn't see rashi for description of the spouse. We should look at the Navamsa. Now, the second spouse was her entering into the royalty, and that is the Sagittarius. By the way, they engaged in Jupiter Antardasha, and they had married in Saturn Antardasha, which is 10th from 2nd. 10th from 7th can give marriage for the first spouse. 10th from 2nd also can give, this is the special Titi rule, can give the marriage for the second spouse. And here we have the Saturn Antardasha, but they engaged in Jupiter. So we can see, but most important, the sun, right, which is showing the royalty, is in the second house. And this is also the Sagittarius, the kind of royalty trikona, right? Aries is the royal sign. Leo, we have the ownership of sun, and then we have this Sagittarius. So a very strong indication that it will be the second one, and we have confirmation on the Upapada. So 8 from the original Upapada and 8 from the 7th in the Navamsa, because that is the second spouse. So the rules are here very clear, because in Vedic astrology, unlike like in Western, we can count the order of partnership. We can give that difference between the first partnership and the second, because that is event-based astrology. The pattern, right, the psychology side of this can be the same, could be seen in the rashi chart, how you are attracting like a magnet, right? We said that the rashi positions are like magnet, they are like karmic patterns. So not only psychological, because there are also external part to it, which making it the karmic patterns, but there is also this Navamsa thing, which is helping us to predict also something outside of those karmic patterns, the karmic manifestation, because that can be different. You may have one karmic pattern, one type of behavior, which also is very strongly related to your psychology of things, but you will attract different partners. And those differences in partners who will come to you can only be recognized using the Upapada and the Navamsa. At the end, I want to share a small observation about the TT. So when I had these 4 charts, so I was looking for what are the common thing. Maybe I will discover something, right? Sometimes we are lucky. Here we have some TT thing, and the TT is related to a planet which is not sun, interestingly. Maybe you will get some bridge to the sun through Rahu, right? When Jupiter is joining Rahu, it can transform into sun, or can give some, we could call transcendental tunnel into the sun, because the Rahu is always like an eclipse taking us to the other side. Let's go through these charts quickly and we'll find what is the common thing related to the TT. In the Paola, Queen of Belgium, we have Saturn TT, or tithesha, Lord of the TT. In the Pisces, aspected by Jupiter, we don't have a sun. There is no connection. In the Navamsa, in the Nakshatra, Uchanata, Trikona, Note Yoga, hard to find the sun. Maybe there is some, sometimes there are rules which are, through some mechanism of transformation, are showing the things through the other planet. Like, for example, Amatya Karaka, when connected to Rahu, is giving you the political power, not through the sun. Because there is some special twist in the rules. Similarly here, there may be some twist. I hope Cooke's chart, tithesha is Jupiter. Again, no connection to sun. The common factor, Jupiter. In Meghan's chart, we have again Jupiter being the tithesha. And in the Letizia, Queen of Spain, it's Rahu. Does it destroy the whole building we created? The statistical, so-called statistical, we have 4 case studies here. Is it destroying the whole thing? No, Rahu is joined to Jupiter. So the common factor for the tithesha in all these 4 charts would be the Guru, Brihaspati, or Jupiter. So the conclusion is that in our small sample study, we have Jupiter connected to the TT to give us the royal marriage. We will expand that and we'll notice if the future examples will confirm that. So know that this is only a very small research, but maybe there is something to this. Let me know in the comments if you have found any connections like this. So you can see we're detective, and you also find out that the best footprints are on the entrance to the room. So this is the Upapada N7 in Navamsa. This will give us the best results to see what will be your future spouse. But not all of us will have that luck to enter the royalty through marriage. We will have the different type of career life. So let's find out what will be our career path, and we can do that based on this video here.